Hey y'all, welcome to Mentally Dedicated. I'm Mariah, and if you are here, then you are dedicated to strengthening your mental health. Today's video is on parenting. It's parenting tips. We know this topic can get a little bit kind of shaky because everybody parent different. But if you are a parent who has a child that may be experiencing some defiant behavior, or just a lot of anger, a lot of different issues and things like that, this video may resonate well with you. So if you are interested, stay tuned and watch the video. Okay y'all, so the first things first, you kind of have to work backwards, right? We always want to know like why our kids are behaving a certain way or responding to things a certain way, but you kind of have to work backwards. So first things first is figuring out what type of parent are you? What's your parenting style?
The question is, who the hell do you think you are telling me how to raise my kids?
There's four main styles of parenting. The first one is the authoritarian parent. So authoritarian is more so the strict parent. They have like structure, set of rules. They don't allow their children to ask questions. And it's like what I say is go. So we know like with this style of parenting is not really the best style. And of course there's no like rule book on how to parent. But if you want your children to grow up with good, self-esteem, with confidence and things like that, that wouldn't be the best parenting style, because this type of parent, they don't allow their children to ask questions. And it plays on the self-esteem and confidence, and it kind of make the child grow up and they're real quiet, or they're just, not standing up for themselves and things like that.
Listen, you little wiseacre. I'm smart, you're dumb. I'm big, you're little. I'm right, you're wrong. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Then the second style of parenting is the authoritative parent. So people would say that this is the best style of parenting because authoritative, they are strict, they have structure, but they allow their children to have a voice, which is important. Like they give their children the opportunity to ask questions and voice their opinions and things like that. Although they are still within a structure.
Said it to me.
Okay, I'm saying it to you now. At your age, you don't need makeup. You just want to put it on so you're going to look older. Now, why are you trying to grow up so fast? Then
you have the permissive style of parenting. Permissive is more so like this cool, laid-back parent. It's pretty much like your friend. You know how you have parents that they grow up with their kids. Some parents who have children young, even some parents who have children like in their 20s and 30s, but they treat their children like friends. So it's more so like, I'm the cool parent, I'm laid back. You can do what you want to do. No structure, right?
If you need anything, don't be shy, okay? There are no rules in this house. I'm not like a regular mom. I'm a cool mom.
So these kids go to school. They may have like some defiant behaviors and things like that, because they don't have any rules at home. So they don't want to go to school and follow any rules at school. So then the last style would be the uninvolved parent. So this style of parenting is more so, I'm gonna make sure I take care of your basic needs like food, clothing, housing, but you have no relationship with this parent. They don't show any affection. It's just like, it is what it is. I'm taking care of your basic needs, and that's what it is. Which we know this can cause a lot of issues when you become an adult, because now you didn't feel love when you were a child. Your self-esteem may be low and you didn't get that affection, so now you may have like the mommy or daddy issues where you're looking for that in other people, and all of these a host of problems are created based on how you were treated as a child.
Yeah, I love him, but you love him for what? Sometimes I don't know if I really, really love him or I have to love him.
Now, once you identify what type of parent you are, your parenting style, then you can kind of get an idea of why your child is behaving a certain way. But we know this is not the case for everyone, because sometimes, you can raise your child a certain way with structure, and they still grow up and make their own choices. So it's not always the case that like if you are authoritative parent that you're going to have this perfect child and that does not make any, no bad behaviors and things like that. That's not the case all the time, because the child, they're going to grow up and still make their own choices and decisions. So once you identify your parenting style, now you want to identify the symptoms that your child or children are exhibiting. So are they exhibiting anger? Are they just being absolutely defiant all over? Are they experiencing sadness or isolation? What symptoms are they experiencing? Poor self-esteem, all of that. You want to identify the symptoms, because now you've identified what type of parent you are. You are identifying the symptoms that your child is exhibiting. So now you can figure out how you can assist your child. So of course people will say, well, go to therapy, right? Yeah, that's good and fine. I'm always going to encourage people to go to therapy, but you want to be able to help your child or your children yourself as well. You don't want to have to always run to a therapist, especially if you don't have one available for whatever reason. You want to still be able to have that relationship with your child or children, that you're able to help them and see what you can do to be there for them. So communication is key. Why is communication key? Because that's going to be the answer of why they're acting and responding the way that they are, right? So you want to allow that space for them to be able to come to you. So you want to ask open-ended questions. So for those who are not familiar with open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions, so open-ended questions are the questions that require a response that's more than just yes or no, right? So some closed-ended questions would be like, is your favorite color red? That's a yes or no question. I mean, yeah, you can go into detail, but if somebody asks you, is your favorite color red or whatever, and if it's not, you're going to say no. So you want to ask open-ended questions. Questions like, why are you feeling this way? You know, what caused you to feel this way? Who do you feel comfortable talking to? What can I do to help? You want to ask questions like that because it allowed them the opportunity to express themselves. So it shows them that you're interested. You're allowing them to have this space to express themselves, which for some people will allow them to feel more comfortable to come to you. So it's very important to allow open-ended questions. Now, when you're doing these open-ended questions, you want to make sure that you are not coming off as, angry when they're responding, because you may be the cause of their problem. So you have to be prepared to hear some responses that you're not necessarily going to like. But you have to be able to let them know, like you have to be able to show them that, okay, I might be the cause of your problem, so let's figure out what I can do to make it better. And so, of course, some of these tips, may vary depending on the age of your child, right? But for one, you want to, like we said, have that communication. But you want to apologize when needed, when necessary. Which, if you are in the wrong, apologize. Like, you're human. You make mistakes too. And it's okay to own up to your mistakes and apologize to your child. It's actually building character for them, because they know that, mommy or daddy may have did or said something that hurt my feelings, but they're letting me know that they're acknowledging my feelings, for one. And they're letting me know that they are sorry for what they did. So apologize. And when you're apologizing, make sure you state what you're apologizing for. So, for example, you can say like, I'm apologizing for hurting your feelings this morning when I called you whatever. Or I'm apologizing for yelling at you in the car when we were running late. Whatever the case may be, like, make sure when you apologize, you're stating why you're apologizing, so that they can kind of connect the two and say, okay, like, mommy might have just been having a bad day. Daddy might have just been having a bad day. You want to make sure that you're doing that. Okay, so after you apologize, or, if that's the case, after you apologize, the next tip would be discipline. Discipline is a big one because a lot of people feel different about discipline. So some people, they prefer to whoop their children. Some people prefer to take things away or put them on punishment. Whatever your form of discipline is, and I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not here to suggest what form of discipline, but discipline is important. Structure is important. So whatever your form of discipline is, once you say it, stick to it and stand on it. Because if you don't, they're going to know oh, she or he always say that they're going to take this away or they're going to whoop me, and they don't do it. So are you really teaching them that discipline and that structure by just saying stuff and don't actually, sticking with it and going through with it? So definitely stand on what you're telling them. So we know, like, sometimes when kids start getting older, whoopings don't really help. So you can do a different form of discipline, like making them get on the wall and hold some books, like, do some stuff like that.
A whooping, or you wanted to dance, you said dance. Get the dance.
And I'm not suggesting any forms of anything, like y'all do what y'all do with y'all children, but I'm just saying whatever form of discipline you do, stand on it, stick with it. If you're gonna put them on punishment, let them stay on punishment. Don't say you're on punishment, then 2 hours later, because you're okay, the situation had died down, you're giving them the game back. No, if you told them that they can't play the game for a week, stand on that. So after discipline, you want to do something. Well, this is something that works really well in my household. Once a week, which is usually on Wednesdays, at a specific time, I allow my son we sit down, we have a conversation. Whatever questions you have, whatever you want to tell me, however you're feeling, let's do it. Now, this does not mean that he can't come to me at any point, or neither one of my kids. This does not mean that they can't come to me at any point, at any time, and talk to me and tell me how they're feeling. This just means that I'm giving them that undivided attention. This specific time is set aside for us. Let's talk. Do you have questions? We know that our children are sometimes exposed to other things outside of our control. Like when they're at school, they're around other kids, like in a lunchroom and gym and things like that. And we know that sometimes these other kids, they're exposed to more things than our kids are exposed to. So your children may have questions. Allow that space where you're not on your phone or watching TV or whatever you're doing. Like literally just set that time aside for you to answer any questions and let them voice how they're feeling. Of course, allow that open door policy where they're able to come to you at any point at any time as well. So if you have a child that is exhibiting some anger, some defiant behavior, some things that you may want to do is, for one, you have to, when they do something right or they do something that's good, you want to overpraise them. Now, people think like overpraising them, like, why would you do that? Or it's, corny, or it's doing too much. But is your child worth doing too much for? So you want to overpraise them. The reason for overpraising them is because it shows them, like, if I'm doing this right, this is how mommy or daddy is responding to me. Because when they get in trouble, you're responding to them. It's not positive, but you are responding to them when they get in trouble, like by whooping them, yelling at them, whatever the case might be. So when they do something right, you have to acknowledge that. You have to overpraise them. So overpraising them with things like, of course, you want to do some words of affirmation with them and things like that. But you also want to do things like hug them, show them affection, tell them that you love them, tell them that they matter, all those type of things. So rewards does not always have to be monetary rewards, right? You don't always have to go out and spend money and buy things. Like I said, hugging them, showing them affection, things like that. So you can write them a letter. You can do one-on-one dates with them, take them out, go to the park. You can do a lot of things that does not require a lot of money, because a lot of people will say, well, I can overpraise them and things like that with love and words and affection, but I don't have the extra money to spend. It does not always require money to show your children that they matter and that you care. So remember that. You can do things around the house. Let's just spend some time together. Let me just show you how proud I am of you. They'll appreciate that, because you think about it like, and I don't want to compare kids to dogs or anything, but think about it in that sense. If a dog is learning how to use the bathroom, to use it outside, right? If they go outside and they pee outside and not peeing in the house, you reward them with a treat, right? And they know, like, okay, when I do this, I get a treat. So your children will begin to redirect that behavior when you're responding to the positive things and not just the negative. So keep that in mind. Respond to the positive and not just the negative. this is a big one, you guys. You may want to look into, if you have, and I'm really kind of just leaning on children who are exhibiting like defiant and angry behavior, right? Pretty much this whole video. So if you may want to look into diet, changing their diet. So red dye actually causes a lot of aggression and anger issues. So if you're giving your child a lot of foods with red dye, you may want to look into that. That's very important.
Nothing with red dye number 6.
Or number 4.
And then also that sunlight. Of course, the sunlight boosts the vitamin D. But if you have, like if you're Black, African American, our melanin in our skin is deeper, right? It's darker. So that sunlight is important. It's very important because it'll cause, you know, when you don't get that sunlight and that vitamin D, it can cause some depression and things like that. So the more sunlight, the vitamin D that you are getting, it boosts that serotonin, right? Which is like the happy feeling that we have, the good mood that we have. So it's important to have that sunlight. So y'all, these are just some tips for parents who are dealing with children with defiant or exhibiting angry, aggressive behaviors. And again, thank you all for joining. This is Mariah with Mentally Dedicated.